Ladies and gentlemen, it is time. It's the moment we've all been waiting for. At least I've been waiting for. I hope you guys have been too. This is your GEST Dota 2 challenge, and like some people were hoping and praying for, LGD International has been quite a hit so far. They cruise through the winner's bracket as we take a look at those brackets to land here in the grand finals. No more noodles. The teams had quite a bit. So many funny little interesting things to talk about with this match. But before we do that, let's just talk about how they got here real quickly. LGD International, this was their first major official tournament, certainly their first with English casting. They had the G League qualifiers. It wasn't the toughest competition. A lot of unknown teams in those. Looked decent coming in, but you never really know what a team's capable of until you put them up against top competition and see what they can do then. They have performed admirably. They took down a really feeble-looking Orange 2-0. Then they faced off against MUFC, where, well, it was a back-and-forth series. Really, in Game 1, LGD International, they didn't have Luna, and MUFC just picked them apart. In fact, I haven't seen LGD International win when they don't have Luna. I'm not sure if they've won an official match without her. Now, that's not to say they can't. It's just to say they haven't so far. But that gets us to the grand finals for them. As for LGD China, well, keep in mind that they lost their first match 0-2 to MUFC. Today, they've already played 6 matches coming into this event. 6 games today, and there were a lot of long games. There were a lot of pauses, a lot of delays. They do land here in the grand finals. It is going to be a best out of 5, and it will be a 1-game advantage for our winners bracket champions. That, of course, is LGD Gaming International, so they have to win 2. LGD Gaming has to win 3. If this goes the distance, which would be a maximum of 4 additional games, it would be 10 games for LGD Gaming. And sure, you might be saying, well, don't teams do that all the time? Playing scrims, playing officials for sort of, you know, smaller cups, which have lots of teams, like, you know, your Fnatic Raid Call Cups. You might have 512 teams in a given event. For something bigger like that, or Gosu Cup Asia, I think the max is 256. That's true. But as my co-caster Eternal Envy was pointing out in our previous series, those games are usually very quick, and then you have downtime while you're waiting for the rest of the brackets to move along. LGD China has not had any breaks. They've had little moments to go to the bathroom and eat, but pretty much they have been playing for the past 9 hours straight. That's right, 9 hours of not just Dota, not just pubbing, but competitive Dota against the best that Asia has to offer outside of DK and IG. MUFC and Orange, 2 of the top teams in Southeast Asia, really took them the distance, but here they are. They have worked their way through that bracket. They are in our grand finals, and I'm very excited for this series. I hope you guys are. I was saying before the game began, if you don't already have your popcorn, if you don't already have your beer, whatever beverage of choice you choose to consume during this game, you'd better get it now, because otherwise you're going to be missing some fantastic action. Now the draft. We can talk a little bit about this game. The big key point for this match is Luna. Luna has been the key to victory for LGD International. I talked to Misery after yesterday's action. Well, there's 2 key points. One of them is Luna. The other is the internet connection to Steam at their house. We'll talk about the second in a second, but Luna being the first key point. LGD International undefeated with that hero. LGD China, I think they've won every game they've picked her today, except for 1 against MUFC, but it was a real wacky game. I'm not sure we'll ever see one like that again. That was just... If you haven't watched MUFC versus LGD China 2, game number 2, if you're just tuning in now, I won't spoil how the game turned out, although you can obviously see in the end that LGD China won the series, but you owe it to yourself as soon as this cast is over to go watch it, because it was a crazy game. But Luna, the key point. I'm all over the place. I have a little bit of ADD today. It has been a long cast for me as well. But LGD China, they get their hands on Luna. Of course, both teams favoring this hero a lot, especially today. We've sort of seen a cross-pollination of styles. We've seen them mixing and matching a lot of heroes, picking things up from each other, as well as their opponents. I think more so than what we've seen out of anyone else. We saw some teams try to emulate IG's face rush lineup, their, you know, race car lineup with the Night Stalker, Bounty Hunter, Sven, but it didn't really work that well for anyone else, and it also proved to be a bit of a gimmicky strategy. This seems a bit more here to stay. The early Luna pick from LGD China, they picked that up right away. And then LGD International responds. I'm just going to call them International in China. I think that might make our lives easier. Oh, man. Or maybe I'll just call it Team Luna and Team Night Stalker. There you go. Lumi has rejoined me. Of course, I am not alone. And for anyone who's just tuning in, I'm LD. Luminous is my co-caster, or my fellow caster for today, I should say. And we're Beyond the Summit. This tournament brought to you by Dota Talk. Lumi, is your headset on yet?
It is on. I'm double checking that my audio's on. So for those in-game ticket buyers, if you are trying to support the tournament, that is a good way to do so. Or you could, of course, subscribe to the stream. And I think LD has more information about that. I'm not too sure how that works, actually.
Well, we can talk about that later. But Lumi, there's two storylines I see coming to this match. The first is Luna, because LGD International is undefeated with the hero. LGD China has been using it a ton today. The second is internet. It's possible. It's entirely possible. We'll see a 10-man disconnect in this game. We had a 5-man disconnect earlier today from LGD China. And I guess the third storyline, this is going to be their 7th game of the day. And these are not like, you know, Fnatic raid call matches where you're playing much lesser teams. They're playing Orange and MUFC. Now they play LGD International. So stamina has to be an issue. They've been playing competitive Dota straight for 9 hours and they were grueling back and forth games. Oh,
I don't think that's much of a storyline. Come on. I mean, have you seen the games at TI2? Because it was DK, it was LGD. They were playing hour-long, grueling Chinese matches.
And then they took a break.
Well, we had long breaks in between games. I think there was like 30 minutes break between this one and the previous one. These Chinese guys are troopers. They're trained to do this. They're designed. They're built to do these. They're robots. They're okay. No problem.
You say that. And it's worth mentioning the manager, Nicholas, or the team leader, as his title is called. He said they've all been refueled with noodles. So they had like a huge batch of noodles. They're ready to rock and roll.
If you give Chinese men noodles, I could, you know, from experience, I know this is recharged. All right, so let's look at the heroes: Luna, Nyx Assassin, Rubik, and Keeper of the Light. I mean, when we see LGD International, we see the Luna going for more of a 5-man push, using the Lunar Blessing, give raw plus damage throughout. And the LGD Gaming will run it a little bit differently, perhaps laying on the end-game power of Luna, which we did see, I believe, PyCat really showing off yesterday. The Glade bounces on a high ground push.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy.
Mind-boggling how much damage it does and how quickly the building goes down. But with the other end, Lone Druid is a fine carry its own right. I haven't seen this matchup too much to really speak on it, Luna versus a Lone Druid, but it seems like Clockwork is going to be stealing the show here.
Oh, wow.
That's the last pick up here for LGD China.
This is not a hero we've seen them play at all, but it's something Brex has been playing quite a bit. It's one of he told me he's played like 90% Darkseer or maybe. Now that might have, I think it might have been 80%, but like pretty much all Darkseer. And when he's not playing Darkseer, it's usually Clockwork. So it's interesting to see LGD China pick this up. I was actually trying to figure out a better name for them. I was going to call them Team Luna and Team Nightstalker. Some people are calling them LGD Luna now.
You could just call them Chinese and international. That's fine.
Yeah, that would be the respect.
We'll figure it out.
That would be the straightforward way to do it. The Clock pick. This is an interesting choice. It's, well, not the strongest laning hero, necessarily, but very annoying to deal with in the mid-game, especially, I mean, for a lot of these heroes, Darkseer, Nightstalker, and even the Lone Druid Bear, if you catch them out, that's pretty obnoxious in a team fight.
I'm just very surprised to see them pick up Clock after Shadow Demon. Shadow Demon kind of makes Clock spells actually silly. You hook in, you find a great target, and you cog, and then you start to do your thing, right? And then Shadow Demon just disrupts either you or, even better, them. And then you're in an awkward position by yourself in front of an enemy hero. And Dazzle here from the international squad, again, a great hero that really makes Clockwork look dumb, because you go in and you start to do your stuff, and they grave, and they weave, and suddenly, I'm not sure if Xiao is going to have a grand old time in this particular game. Sylar is going to have to really put his entire team on his back. This team is good at defending, it's decent at pushing, but really it's Luna doing work. And the one good thing that Clockwork is going to provide is that it's a lot of frontline tanking. It's going to push, heroes like Darkseer and Stalker, and as well as Lone Druid back. Both his spells go through BKB. Of course, I'm talking about Cogs, and as well as that hook shot. So late game is not really in the hands of LGD, despite them having a Lone Druid. But again, this is a Lone Druid Luna matchup that I'm personally not too familiar with. So I'm very curious to see how this plays out.
Yeah, I'm interested to see as well. Mostly we've been seeing the BKB rushes, sometimes even just, especially from LGD China. From the Chinese squad, they pretty much just get Tranquil Boots and BKB. We don't really see as much of the Reign of Aquila, the drums. Now, maybe that was due to those games. It's honestly all a blur in my mind at this point, so I don't remember. It was games where he needed a BKB pretty quickly. There was a lot of nukes, things like that, a lot of stuns, but Yeah, Sylar, as far as his Luna goes, I mean, if you rush the BKB, you still have to worry about entangles. Demonic Purge can be a nuisance, but not a ton of physical damage until the items come out on Pycat. It is Pycat playing that lone druid, right? Yes, it is. So I guess if we move towards our discussion of this game, what are we expecting for the lanes? I think what we're going to see for the Chinese squad is a safe lane solo for Sylar, an offensive tri-lane, and then a solo mid Clockwork played by Xiao8.
Yeah, sounds pretty good. I'm pretty sure you have discussed this during the outset of Pick and Ban here. If you look at the top of the screen, you can see that tiny green dot on the favor of LGD International. This seems like they're up one game in this best of 5. Is that how it's working? Because they came from the winner bracket finals. That was a great matchup between MUFC. The VODs are available, I do believe, on the Beyond Summit YouTube channel. So
they will be. They're not all there yet. Again, the one game you guys have to watch is MUFC versus LGD China, game number 2. I don't want to spoil it because I told Lumi he's got to cast it, but for his own channel. But it was just an amazing game.
All right, looking forward to see it and casting myself. But let's go into this particular game here as Brax going to be playing on the Darkster again and again. Misery seems like we're going to see a more supportive Dazzle. He was hovering around the mid lane, and I had a fanboyish moment because Dazzle is a great solo mid, although he's not ran that way too often. 1437 on that Shadow Demon once again, and it's going to be a more standard G on the Night Stalker. And boy, this guy knows how to play aggressive. This guy knows how to power dive. So he is going to really pilot that hero as that hero is meant to play. And finally, Pycat on the top lane playing the lone druid, seemingly forever a lone druid here as he's soloing that one on the top lane.
It is an off-lane solo Rubik, so I guess expecting they get the one... The bear's trapped on the hill! Oh, the bear's trapped on the hill! You can't do anything with this...
You can't even TP him out.
You gotta hit level 3. This is no bear for 2 minutes! Or at least 2 minutes. I don't know if it'll matter, but that is rather cheeky.
Ooh, are they not running a top for LGD China? Yeah.
I guess they're gonna go for the mid pulls. It looks like that's the goal for Yao. He's got early boots picked up, maybe to help set up the ganks mid. They could find some early kills on G. If you hit a nice cog and you have, the telekinesis to set that up, that could be pretty potent as a combo, but they are leaving Pycat to total free farm, so it is a trade-off.
Yeah, so that bear move was cute. Not gonna really do too much in either case here, but it looks like we're really gonna do it on the bottom here. I hope you got that on the screen as first blood gets picked up here by Brax. And meanwhile, more action here at DDC. Mana burning Brax is pretty good. We haven't seen a Darkseer tri-lane ever. And how do you think it will work out in this lane? I mean, they just got first blood, so it's looking pretty good.
This is what we saw MUFC do in game number 3 against LGD China. Is they just ran the aggressive tri-lane because Luna, as strong as she can be, I would say around that level 3 to 5 mark. Once you have a couple points of Lunar Blessing, once your supports have access to all of their abilities, then everybody's hitting hard. But right at level 1, she is not a strong laning hero, and she's squishy. She can't offer a lot to the team. And you look at this LGD International tri-lane, I think this is how you have to play against Luna. It's just shut her down in the laning stage. Otherwise, you get to the mid game, and it's just the 5-man. Not with LGD China, they're not running. Their timings are more delayed. They're not really going for what we saw out of the international squad with like the 8-minute push. It's more like a 15, 20-minute kind of push. Sometimes they do it a bit earlier, but generally it's a little bit more delayed, a little bit more patient from them. But it's the same kind of thing. I like this choice. I think it's a good way to deal with the Luna.
Yep. But meanwhile, you can see the Chinese team is playing defensive on their own right. Nyx Assassin, generally you always get the stun at level 1 just, because it's your best combat-worthy spell. He's getting mana burn. He is just wanting to sit in this lane and keep draining mana. And with the help of Chakra Magic, once Kato hits level 2, that's pretty annoying for this tri-lane, but it looks like you're going to go right on Luna. There's a disruption. There's going to be a little bit of physical right hits, really not going to kill that Luna, but doing as much harass as you possibly can to a good way to go about it. A very late poison here from Misery, but, Sylar should be fine under the protection of his tower.
Good news for Pycat. He's got the bear back. Now Yao gets a little bit less happy. He went for the early boots. I maybe am worried about getting ganked early on, but with the offensive tri-lane, this really hurts him. If he had some extra stats, if he had some extra regen, I think he'd be a lot better off. Instead, with the early Orb of Venom, and with just the raw auto-attacking power of Lone Druid, Yao is pretty much out of regen. Not too far off a bottle, but I think he may have to make at least one trip back to Fountain before he's able to secure that, and that's going to give Pycat tons of farm. Already 11 and 11. Boy, this guy knows how to deny, does he? Does
yeah, he
not?
really does. I mean,
Jesus.
well, he started lane without anybody in his lane, so it's pretty easy when you're fighting against nobody. But really, Yao, despite his hero being in the lane, he really has no chance because once that bear hits level 5, Rubik is just a free kill. You keep sticking that bear on him. He has been sticking the bear on him, and he's just getting completely out harassed. Pycat will have free farm. You can't really stick anybody else. I mean, Xiao A is going to share the same fate, and obviously that bot tri-lane is, having their own hands full trying to protect Sylar. So this free lane up top is going to at least lose a couple kills if they're playing over aggressive for that EXP. If not, Pycat's going to get absolute free farm. I'm sure LGD International will be happy with any of those exchange.
Well, they are running the offensive tri-lane. They got the first blood, but now the pulls start, and LGD loves to do their double pulls, just getting that single initial pull, then stacking and pulling the next camp. And with Keeper of the Light, once you get a few levels, it gets real hard to stay in the tri-lane. You got to be worried about eating a big Illuminate. And one Illuminate, especially if it's fully channeled, that's pretty much enough to send you either using a salve or back to Fountain. So LGD got the first, LGD, China, or International got the first blood, but is that going to be enough to keep them in this lane? Because as the levels come out, I think Luna starts to get a little bit too much to deal with, along with that Keeper of the Light. So they are losing top. Mid lane appears to be a wash so far. Slight edge for Clock, but nothing too big. But I think they're starting to turn things around on this bottom lane.
Yeah, I think so as well. To be completely honest, I think the X factor is coming really from the mid lane because once we see these heroes hit level 6 or perhaps when nighttime first starts, we're going to see a big gang party going on the bot lane. But if you see the gang party coming down, as we see Disruption going right on Luna, the Mana Bird here against on Brax, very good job. But look at the damage output. Sylar Magic Wands up, and is he going to survive? The poison damage is going to bring him down 2 HP. He's dead. Great gank here against LG China, and it looks like we have Illuminates not really hitting anybody. And you can see this tri-lane is just having all sorts of trouble. Now, Mana Burn was a very smart one. It's just not enough. But just back to my point, Clockwork would normally decimate these tri-lane as he's hooking in for the ganks. But again, keep in mind, Disruption as well as access to Grave is no joke against that type of initiator. So as soon as Misery hits 4, that gank is not going to be too effective.
And that buys time for the Night Stalker to counter gank. And suddenly G's there. Clockwork's already jumped in, caught himself in the cogs. And Night Stalker, he's going to find the kills a bit quicker for the most part. Clock's going to be more disruptive over a longer team fight with the cogs, with the battery assault. But with that big burst damage from Void, you can quickly pick off a hero like... well, pretty much anyone in the tri-lane. And, well, the key to that fight was DDC did not have mana for Impale. That screwed him. Spamming the Mana Burn does have its downsides. We saw one of them there. Here comes the rotation towards mid. Top lane continues to be just a party, really, for the Lone Druid. I gotta say, overall, this Lone Druid's getting too much for my taste. Sure, Luna's getting some levels now, but she ain't farming like him.
Yeah, I just don't think the Chinese team has any option. Like, who do you actually send against Pycat? Nobody on the team actually can do it unless you shift a tri-lane on the top lane, which... I mean, that does it, although, 3 teleport scrolls or moving 3 heroes around the map at this stage of the game is not exactly a game-winning move either. So LGD and China just have to kind of take it. And oh no! Oh,
strategy pause from Nicholas, the team leader. He may have put some money on this game as DD gets picked off. Of course, all the teams are played on land. There's actually a pretty funny picture. They have a chalkboard up protecting them from seeing each other, so maybe we'll have to see if that matters. G gets caught by the cogs, and look at just how long they last. The 5-second cog. So annoying, but he's tanking and surviving with the double damage rune. Is it going to be enough? Xiao Wei dropping low. That's a rocket on 3. Is it going to be sufficient to secure the kill? We'll have to wait and see. Sylar gets completely body blocked. Oh man, LGD International is so good at that, and 1437 lives with like 4 HP. Every time they go for disruption, they just surround the hero. It's like a pack of wolves that see a delicious piece of meat. They just pounce on it. And again, finding that surround with the disruption. Really nice play.
Best item in the game, Magic Stick. If you find yourself playing tri-lanes in pub games, that is the first item you get, whether you're a carry, whether you're support, before the boots, because there's so much spell being thrown out, and when you survive with 12 HP, 20 HP, that is thanks to that Magic Stick. Everybody was popping that one. On the top lane here, Xiao in big trouble. There's a Void, and there's no chance for this Rubik. Man, this gang party is going to continue as G is just roaming around. Clog is trying his best to really match, but again, Night Stalker at nighttime is no joke, no joke.
No joke is putting it very gently, I gotta say, and that's the off-lane Rubik for you. Not only can he not lane against the Lone Druid in the early stages that well, sure he's level 5, he's gotten something out of the lane, but He can't shut the Lone Druid down in lane, and now he can't deal with the ganks from the Night Stalker. Xiao shows up, but what can he really do? Just spam rockets. If he ever gets entangled, he may not die, but he's pretty much sent back to base. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Brax gets an Impale. Thrown onto him. Sylar giving chase. Now disrupted turnaround. Look at the body block being done again. The surround isn't there, but the heal is strong. The Fade Bolt is stronger. Yao has joined the party. What a telekinesis stun. Illusion to hero. Really clever play from both teams. We are seeing some true next level Dota in this game. Now 1437 eats the hook shot. He'll pay. Here comes the angry Night Stalker. G wants a double. G wants possibly even more than that. The Void will bring Xiao 8 low, but there are stuns available, I think, fairly soon. And he will be forced back in the end, thrown straight up in the air. The hook shot on cooldown for quite a while. So much action. This is what I expected to see more of today. We saw a lot of farming. It's all aggression for these teams.
Yeah, well, aggression, at least for now, at least nighttime, because that's when Night Stalker really wants to fight. Grid teleport and really force out a buyback from Sylar. Now, that buyback really doesn't cost too much, considering it's very early. But meanwhile, we do see Xiao going to run into G here. All they really need is Impale, and then we're going to see the Cog again, the longest chainsaw of life. Oh, DDC survives with 10 HP. Again, Magic Stick doing so much work here. They get a kill on G, and they get a kill on G during nighttime. That is a big thing. But meanwhile, on the top lane, again, if you don't stick anybody on Lone Druid's lane, he will punish you greatly. Tier 1 tower being destroyed. And look at the go check. We are 9 minutes in. He has Tranquil Boot finish. He has Orb of Venom and a boot on the bear and 1400 gold in the bank. We're going to see one of the fastest relic in the professional game in a long while.
Well, he's got Gloves of Haste on the bear. Maybe we'll see the Midas or the Maelstrom. But
you know, Maelstrom is a good way to go about it too. The damage output is really significant, especially against all these squishy supports.
Yeah, that lightning splashing around, and the attack speed helps you with the entangles. I quite like either build. I mean, either build I think is going to work pretty well this game. Just being so far ahead is really tough. I like the storyline of this game, which is that LGD International has really been executing that Luna pick beautifully. And perhaps to some extent LGD China have seen that and said, okay, we're going to start using that more. Sure, other teams like IG have run it, but I don't think quite with the same level of confidence that the international squad has run. But now they say, okay, we've shown you how to use it, and now we're going to show you how to beat it. And so far, it's only a 7-5 kill lead, but the gold graph tells a much different story. 3,000 gold lead for them. 1,000 experience lead, but even being ahead at all when you're running an offensive tri-lane, that's a victory for the international squad. And this translates into items, mainly the Lone Druid, the big farmer so far, but even Night Stalker's starting to get some gold up. He's got 500 gold, he's got the treads. LGD International in a real commanding position right now.
And they're trying to take this tier 1. You can see Night Stalker is just swarming around with his illusions being micro, and they just want to pincer and get this kill on the tower. DDC is level 6. Not sure exactly how he has found it. Do we have Sanctuary available? Yes. Right in the lane, they are completely being prepared, so you're not going to catch LGD, at least the international team, out of position. And, well, LGD DDC's ultimate has ran out, and he has to go back in the mid lane. Again, no attention being paid to PyCat. They're trying to win this game 5v4, but sooner or later, PyCat's going to really haunt them.
Here comes the attention. PyCat got to juke like a boss, got to get that entangle, or you might be in trouble, but he is tanky. He is strong, and I don't know if they can actually bring him down quickly enough. They've thrown so much at him. He's still alive. He's still tanky. Now the bear killing off. Yeah, this might be a massive turnaround. This is looking to be a bit of a disaster. This is the power of that Lone Druid. So tanky. If you don't shut him down in lane, that it gets real hard to kill him later on. 2 kills going the way of the international squad. And LGD, they know they got to shut him down, Lumi. Like you said, he's getting out of control, but they try to do it, and they get burned.
Keeper of the Light TP's right and gets silenced immediately. No Void on him, but G will be chasing for sure. Just need to Oh, Night Stalker getting juked at nighttime. That is a little bit embarrassing. But meanwhile, though, Sylar, despite having nobody in his lane, or despite being solo finally, but still being harassed by both Shadow Demon as well as Darkseer, just nobody's getting anything going on the Radiant team, and that's really a bad sign. PyCat go check here has the Maelstrom already finished, I think.
Wow, and you know they're on the dire side. They've got a dazzle. They probably have an early buckler coming out. No, not yet, but I won't be surprised to see it soon. They can go for a very quick Roche. I think they need to knock down a tower or two, maybe win 1 or 2 fights. They don't have darkness, and it is daytime, so they may have to wait a little bit to really strike. But I feel like if they're on the cusp of just completely seizing control of this game, at the same time, this is a window of opportunity for LGD. Rubik charges in to start this off. Is it bait or is it going to be trouble for him? Brax hiding in the trees, vacuums his way out, worried that the trap is going to descend. They pick off the Shadow Demon. A lot of nukesies for him. Brax going one way, then going the other. He'll get out in the end. So the momentum slows down, and that Daystalker not nearly as scary.
Yep. You were talking about the Butler and a mech attempt being attempted by Misery, I guess. That's the best hero for them. We do see Pycat teleporting right in. He has a Maelstrom finish. They want to take a fight right now. 13 minutes. Longdris joining the fight. And of course, there's an Iron Shell on the bear. Not exactly what you want to face up. And here we go. They're going to just push your tower. Nothing too much you can do about it. Xiaoei's going to hook right in. He's going to find G, but G is a very, very tanky fellow. And he has Grave. And there you go. Luna and Cliff being used as well. G still tanking up. He's going to survive. Yes, he is. No, the last right hit of SC is going to bring him down. Meanwhile, the bear is just going to work right now. Vacuum backwards. Any entangle? No entangle so far. Syla tanking so much damage. They wish they have Grave. The bear gets cogged up here, and the tower now focusing with Xiaoei, losing so much HP. Is Xiaoei going to go down? No, yes, he will. And now DDC comes in right now. He needs to get a kill against Misery. There's one hit. Does get the kill. The bear being chasing around. Syla also dies under his tower. Are we going to see a full-on team right here? 14-37. Wolfster. No! Yeah, so close. Magic Wand being popped left and right. That was a 4-for-2 exchange. Syla is alive. I mean, Pycat's alive at the end of it, and they are going to get a tier 1 tower.
By the way, that was during the daytime. That was a team wipe during the daytime. Unbelievable. And they get the tier 1, and they have another 1500 gold on Pycat. This is very Navi-esque. Just this, I mean, fight you under your tower, kill you under your tower, kill the tower. That's what we're seeing from LGD International. And they're executing it with some really impressive precision, as well as some, you know, smart strategy with the lanes, with the drafting. Color me impressed. Now, granted, it's been a long day for the China squad, but they're getting outplayed, and they're getting outplayed hard right now.
I feel like the Chinese are being a lot more aggressive than I'd like them to be in this particular game, because they're taking a fight. Well, you know, G is perhaps going to get ganked here. He's finally going to go down, but we talked about the disruption. We talked about the Grave. They're so powerful. A teleportation comes in. There's a Shadow Demon. No, he did not defensively disrupt, although I don't think he's going to go down either. So it's basically a 4-for-1 gank, and they did get the kill. But again, back in the middle here, Pycat knocking down some towers. I feel like when you have Clockwork and when you have Keeper of Light, you could just give up those tier 1 towers and try to defend as much as possible. You don't really want to clock hook in, which is what we saw Xiaoei did, and you know, we knew how that works out. We already talked about the disruption in Grave. It's not going to work out. And it's very surprising to keep seeing him trying to do that over and over again.
And yeah, they killed the Night Stalker in that fight, but they threw so much at him to do it. You know, it was probably like an extra 600 nuke damage just because they were spamming everything, and then the Grave goes off at the perfect moment. Misery will get caught. They are starting to find some kills, picking up a little bit of steam during the daytime. They still haven't really shut down the Lone Druid one bit, though. Pycat, what has he gone for? It's a Hyperstone. We'll have to see. Will it be a completed Mjolnir, or will it be that Assault Cuirass? I feel the Cuirass possibly the better target to go for, simply because LGD is all about pushing towers and that minus armor. The international squad is really about that early tower pushing, and getting that early Assault Cuirass will make the biggest difference towards doing so with the minus armor towers. He's the high farmer by such a large margin. Sure, Luna helps the team by being alive, but how long is she going to live in these fights? The BKB is still a long ways off.
Yeah, I mean, even if you finish the Mjolnir, that's not too bad, because Static Charge is so good when somebody's getting cogged up and focused, because Grave and Static Charge will just actually burst down the enemy team with relative ease. I think anything he goes for right now is going to be good, because they're so far ahead. Luna, the highest farmer here on the Radiant squad, just has nothing. Earlier we were talking about whether you go BKB first or you go Drum first. When you were having that discussion, I thought Drum would be really good, as mid is just having all sorts of engagement. Nice blind here, but Vacuum backwards here. Oh no, Yao gets purged up, and he is going to get picked off, and that is the only kill. Meanwhile, Disruption comes in from the Clock here. Clock trying to fight everybody. Luna comes in from the right side as well. There is a nighttime. Brax gets graved up, and Clock, he's dead in zone Clock. Man, this storyline, it's happening over and over again. I wish there's a plot twist, but Clockwork is just, you know, the unsung hero. Well, he's dead all the time.
I mean, that was still pretty... I gotta say, I don't even think that was a big misplay by him. If he didn't go in there, then Luna was going to be the one that got focused down and died. She was not really in the best position, but this is sort of the downside to Clock. If you're having a bad start, you zip it, you hook someone, you cog, and then you just get focused down. And it certainly doesn't help that they have things like Soul Catcher, like that Farm Bear, to quickly chew through him. Clock, one of his weaknesses as a hero, his base armor quite low, 3. You compare that to a Night Stalker sitting on 8 with no armor items for either hero. This is, you know, it's a weakness of him versus the Lone Druid, and it's being exploited. They're in a good position, and they go for Roche. This is just such really confident play from the international squad. Not even wasting time. It doesn't matter that it's daytime. They don't care. They know they can take this Roche, and there's nothing standing in their way.
I think it's because it's daytime where Night Stalker can't really go gank. Might as well do something with the team, whether it's pushing, whether it's, you know, taking the Roshan. So very good use of his time. I'm very surprised to see Misery not going for Medallion Courage. It's an item that's very not often purchased on supports, but in this particular case, when you have so much physical damage from your Lone Druid, from your Night Stalker, and even from the fact that Misery spells mostly are physical damage, I'm talking about the Poison, Poison Touch, and of course it combines very nicely with Weave. It's just a great item to pick up, but he's opted for the Urn, opted for Arcane Boots, giving him more utility for his team. Meanwhile, Night Stalker Illusions working on the mid tower. This game is really in the control of the LGD international team. And if for example, we're cheering for the Chinese, what exactly do they have to do to kind of try to stabilize this game? I don't even want to call it comeback. They just need to stabilize first.
Just don't get picked off. It sounds simple, but it's actually quite hard when the Night Stalker can always be surged in. You can have the Ion Shell and the Bear. And, well, this is not what they want to do, which is having DDC charge into a Sentry Ward and immediately get entangled and picked off. He's such an easy kill. He'll drop, and now they pull in the Rubik. He'll get in some trouble.
There's a two-man cog from Xiao A, but again, Xiao A trying to fight everybody is going to get picked off here. Sylar now ultimate, but he is silenced, he's slowed, and he's entangled up as well. Oh man, we might see a quick GG here as the team gets wiped in front of the tier 2. Night Stalker's chasing in, he knows the Rubik's going to be dead. He wants a Kato as well. There's a blind, the blind not going to do too much when two people are iron shelled up. That's a team wipe right in front of the tier 2. Tier 2 is going to destroy. Rax could easily be attempted as well when you have such a farm Lone Druid. Man, this game is over.
Oh, jeez, an early GG call. And it's, you know, the reason I mentioned it and bring it up is we had some games that just seemed like they were over today with MUFC versus the Chinese, and they went on for ages. I'm talking 60-plus minute games. This one, however, has just been a beatdown, a brutal beatdown. The international boys, well rested and showing some impressive play. The Lone Druid filling in a pinch, performing kind of a similar role to the Luna. Stronger as a solo, doesn't need the support, but now it's the same kind of hero. Just a bulldozer that it by himself is really strong. Doesn't help the team as much, but the mowing down the towers. It's a face rush lineup, a different kind of face rush lineup, but still the same result, which is if they get off to a good start, they bulldoze everything. Now they haven't breached high ground yet, but it's just such a big lead. They've got such a strong mid-game timing. And if it goes later, oh, gee, we'll lose the Aegis here. Maybe they back up.
Keeper of Light is just putting so much pressure on these guys. Immediate couple of nukes as G respawns. I do think you want to back up at the very least, but hey, you know, they're full HP. The Bear has been at full HP as well. No, they are going to back off a little bit. Just no need to really kind of run your head into a wall like this. You are way stronger. Just take a casual team fight, wipe them, and then come again. But look at these guys. They're not backing up. They're just waiting for a bait. Sentry being dropped. No DDC shenanigans will be had. And they are just waiting for somebody to walk past one of these Sentry Wards and just basically go for a free kill.
This Sentry Ward discipline, oh no. Yeah, that is not where you want to be. He'll get voided up. The trap was laid, and the trap could be successful. Two heroes backing onto the other side of the cogs. The cogs being used against LGD to a certain extent. Only enough to get the one kill. But every time they find a kill, they resume the push, and the push will now resume. Here comes the 5-man down the middle lane. They're starting to get some really big items up. The mech's been up for a long time. A pipe probably coming soon. Lone Druid, the Assault Caress not far off. In fact, has he completed it yet? Oh, he's like 900 gold away, 800 gold away, getting very close to that. Assault Caress, pipe, mech at 22 minutes, plus having just a great team fight death ball push to begin with from your hero composition. This is flawless play. A few minor mistakes here and there, but pretty much picture-perfect play from the international squad. There's a hook in. And where did he actually... Oh, he got
1437, lagging behind the wall, but dropped on everybody, and now the Bear is right on top of you. Again, the Illuminates are doing so much AoE damage at max level, 500 AoE damage. That's nothing to scoff at, even when you have this kind of big lead, and even when you have the mech. They do get a kill in nighttime against 1437, and they do stop the push, so LGD China showing some sign of life. Again, just, they're like on the ground, withering right now, but they're still alive.
They're bleeding out. They're calling for the medics, but the medics are apparently taking a vacation, so it's a slow and painful death, at least for now. But with that kill, they are starting to push the middle lane. They haven't lost this one yet. They hold on to their Rex. They hold on to 2 of their tier 2s, and the 2 most important ones. Losing that one at top lane. If you're gonna have to lose a tier 2, that's best. They smoke, and it was not spotted by an observer ward, so they will be able to get up to this tower. It's a smoke gank for tier 1, and I love this decision. They need that tower gold. They need it desperately, and they should be able to get it with this position under the tower. No way that the international squad can really fight this.
Well, it's G. You never know.
No way that, well, any team...
Look,
they're gonna fight
on TP right now, faking a TP, and they're canceling. All right, 135 times 3 damage rate, but it's all good. It's all good. They're still very, very rich. Tier 1 tower is going to get destroyed. So 2,000 go right in the bank here of LGD China, so they are feeling comfortable. Sylar will have his Blacking Bar finished in just about 200 gold. Would the BKB finish? Does it matter? Is my question.
There's still Demonic Purge. More importantly, there's still a Lone Druid and Assault Cuirass coming in a few seconds. I'm going to say almost certainly not. It might help him live through that initial barrage of nukes. He can at least get his Eclipse off. But he's not surviving for long against this Lone Druid. Whereas the Lone Druid, he's going to have a pipe on his side soon. In fact, the hood already complete on Brax. Brax, by the way, has been... He's 9-2-12. I don't think enough can be said. There's so many big, star kind of European, North American players on this team. Particularly, I think Pycat and G, who are just basically superstars in the European scene. But for me, one of the real interesting storylines of this team is it's not all veteran, long-standing members of the community. It's a blend of those and then some new up-and-coming players. Brax really not an entirely unknown talent. He did show some nice play for Quantic, but I love the fact that he's getting his chance to shine as well. The whole team... It may be a bit patchwork in terms of players who haven't all played together, but they are really meshing beautifully, and Brax is definitely a big part of that story.
Well, that's your story. That's the storyline for you. The storyline for me is when Misery is playing support for your team, you got a stack team because Misery obviously plays, more of the 1 or 2 row or maybe even the 3 row for the other team. But right now, playing similarly a very important role for the team and just shows you how stacked this team and how deep this team in particular is. Tier 2 tower is going to get sieged up. The Bear going to walk in, get a free tower, and they'll continue to slow siege this. So one of the best way to really slow down a solo Bear pushing team is to focus that Bear, because a lot of teams, a lot of carry heroes don't really want to walk up a high ground if you don't have 2 life on that Bear. A lot of heroes, of course, put a lot of gold on that Bear, and if you lose that Bear in the middle of the team fight, well, it's like 10k go down the drain.
But how are they going to kill it? Sure, you've got Luna.
Right.
She's giving them sub plus bonus damage. She's got only 2 points in Lunar Blessing. This is curious. Didn't have a chance to look at the skill build before now. Max Glaives, I think Sylar maybe just hoping that they could stall this one out and just do a lot of split pushing and farming and avoid the team fights. He does have the BKB to TP away as long as he doesn't get entangled. But I don't think it's going to work out that way. This story might not end the way he wanted it to be written, the way Director 8 was hoping to script it. As the 5-man push comes, and without the max aura, I mean, you're providing a lot less utility to your team, and where else does the physical damage come from? Sure, you'd love to focus the Bear down on paper, and in some games, it is the way to beat a Lone Druid lineup, but I don't know that they have the horses to do it. In fact, I'm pretty sure they don't.
Well, Keeper's got a lot of horses, and that's keeping them in the game at the very least right now with the Illuminate. Tier 2, nice backing here against DDC. No teleport from the Luna just yet. I think they're going to glyph and it's going to be a teleport back from Sylar. And I think they want to take a fight over this because there's no way you TP back right now if you don't want to fight over this Tier 2. Perhaps not exactly the correct decision. Again, a Lunar Illuminate being charged up right now. If you're a Night Stalker, you could just charge right in, but Roshan's going to be back in about 2 minutes. Do they wait for the Roshan, or they just, again, try? Yeah, they're going to keep going because they're a lot stronger. G comes right in. Again, nice blind. Illuminate's going to pull down the Squeak Wave. The Bear taking some big damage, but the Bear is just tanking everything. There's a telekinesis level. Grave on the Bear. That's cute. There's a disruption, and somebody is just out of position right now. BKB gets popped on Sylar. Tower's still alive because it's gaining HP from the backdoor protection. Xiao A's just looking for a hook in right now. Standing under the trees like Ninja. Tower denied. Not going to get denied. A very, very difficult fought for a tower, but they did get it, and I think they're going to back off 40 Ages of Mortal right now.
And what's to stop them from just, wait for the Bear cooldown and go take another tower? Sure, it'll take you longer for those base towers, but they're also going to start to get even more items. Lone Druid is almost double the net worth of Luna. And I would say even if they're equal, this is still going to be a fairly tough game for the Chinese squad. Being this far behind, this is a slippery slope to begin with, covered with ice, oil, and pretty much any other substance that you can't get a good footing on. It's trouble for the international, or for the Chinese squad. The international squad, sure, they lost the Bear there. We saw it can be killed when the tower focuses it for a good 10 minutes, but Really clever play, you know, even things like you pointed out, the shallow grave on the bear. I'm loving all these little touches they're putting, whether it's that, whether it's the the 3-man, like, charging, you know, basically grouping up to try and set up a disruption block. All these little tactics, they have been practicing a lot, and it's showing for me.
Yep, and they're leading by 11 kills here, a whole bunch of gold and a whole bunch of EXP, and they're going to continue to extend their lead by taking this Roshan. One thing I do want to point out is that Misery has not had a single point into that Weave yet. Generally one of the more underrated spells. He's known for Grave, he's known for that slow. The Weave is really a big thing, but from the play of this game so far, it's been dancing back and forth with that Luminate. So the Weave has not really had a big chance to show his face yet, but I'm sure if this game goes late enough, that Weave is going to do a lot, especially against Sylar. Teleportation going on the top lane here. G's going to lead the charge as always. What is your thought on his Blacking bar? Again, there's 2 spells on the Radiant side that really will stop him, especially that cog. 6 second, you know, it will push you back BKB or not. It will trap you BKB or not. Do you think maybe a Axe up here, a little bit more traditional of a build, will be a little bit more suited in this case?
Well, it's what we see the Chinese squad preferring. That's what Xiaoyi's been going for every game, especially if they have a lead. He gets the early Ags, they have the gem up, which LGD, he's going back for one now, will have the Ags later on. And then they just outmap control you. They constantly deward. It's never safe to leave the base. The recall on paper, sure, that's a way to let Luna leave the base and then get back safely, but in practice, if they jump you quickly, which Nightstalker can, you're not able to be recalled. So yeah, I think the Ags could have been a great choice. The BKB is working out. The one thing it does is, sure, the cogs can be a nuisance and disruptive. The hook can be a nuisance and disruptive, but it still takes forever to kill this guy. And that's the nice thing about the BKB, is it just means he can charge in, soak up the damage, then the Lone Druid is wailing away at the tower. The Shallow Grave is always there, so even once you get low, it's almost like you have 2 BKBs in a sense, just so hard to actually finish you off.
It really is, because if you look at the damage output, if he's magically immune, there is none. Luna is hitting for, what, 147, which is pitiful for Luna, especially at this stage of the game. I mean, no disrespect to Sylar or anything like that. He just had a very, very tough game. The trialing has designed to shut him down, and it successfully has done so. He's getting close up to that 2150 mark or 2000 mark, and that's really when he makes a decision of whether going into a Yasha or going into a Ultimorph. Normally, I would say go for Yasha first to give yourself a little bit more mobility, but he just needs to, like, tank up. He just needs HP, so we're very likely going to see that. Or maybe he's going to just go for the buyback. You know, these Chinese are a lot more risk-averse in a sense, so probably going to just go for the very, very ultra-safe buyback. But how much is buyback going to do if you're the only one that buying back?
Actually, it's funny, because that was true for a long time, but, like, the past month or so, a lot of the Chinese players I've seen, Super, Ferrari, Sylar, like they're not saving for buyback nearly as much. Sometimes they are, but a lot of the times it's just buy whatever the hell you can now and, you know, just have that extra damage. When you're this far behind, you need every bit of... I don't think a buyback helps you at all in Luna, especially because she relies on the BKB and the Eclipse to do anything in these fights, which won't be a lot because there should be a pipe complete by now. Indeed, there is on Brax and the BKB, of course, and Lone Druid with the casual cloak, just very tanky. I think you just gotta buy whatever the hell you can. I mean, just the max DPS item you can get for whatever gold you have when they start breaching high ground.
Luna trying to work on the tier 1 tower on the bot. If she does get it, we'll give her team some decent amount of gold. But how much time will she have? Cog on the high ground here to slow down this push. Vacuum back with Xiaoyi. Gotta be careful again. Illuminate is gonna drain a lot of pipe charge, but with the pipe use, they can actually go on the high ground. Nice line again, slowing down this push a tiny bit. They do not have the glyph just yet. Another Illuminate. They are defending this, and Luna working on that tier 1 on the bot. And they are gonna get it, and that's gonna give Luna at least, at the very least, a Ultimorph.
Yeah, or maybe a Yasha, whatever she wants to go for, but, you know, whatever that item is, it's not a big item, it's not a complete advance, it's not anything along those lines. Look at this. This is honestly anti-push cheese. We see cheesy pushing lineups a lot. This is the opposite. This is the direct opposite to it. But it doesn't seem to be enough. Even with the blind, even with the Illuminate, the tower will fall. Now they pull DDC onto the low ground. It looks like he was vacuumed down by Brax, who has just been a bit of a hero for his team in this game. There's the double BKB option, although he hasn't used the real one yet. Now they maul away at the Rex. Everything dropping pretty low. Sylar charges in with the BKB. Is that pipe ready? No, it's on cooldown for 3 seconds. He's got the... Oh, the hook just missing. Oh man, looks like just out of range from Xiaoyi. Now the cogs drop, but this is a messy fight, and a messy fight is what Nightstalker wants. He's gonna go back for Yao, sensing that he can fight a kill here. He's like, oh hey, by the way, there's a clock. I'll take you as well. LGD being driven back to their fountain.
Yeah, Luna got BKB and user close, but got entangled by the bear, and she is dead. Now this push will transition to the mid lane. No, they're gonna smoke out, but GG is called. They know the writing's been on the wall for a while now, and LGD International takes this game, and they're up 2-0 as they're coming from the winner bracket finals.
2-0 lead, and man, a great performance from the international squad, and they have shown one of the ways to beat that Luna pick, which is just to run an aggressive tri-lane that shuts her down in lane. Now, in order to do that, you have to get a strong solo, preferably a carry, so that if your tri-lane doesn't work out too well, you still have someone to fall back on. You don't have a late game here who's been shut down in the tri-lane in the offensive position. It was a really smart draft from them. For me, they've played great. The execution has been solid, but I gotta say, I think the lanes and the hero selection was even better. That, for me, that's the biggest thing about this victory.
Yeah, I felt like conversely, Chinese teams' lane were very, very weak. We saw how little Rubik could have done against Silver. Nobody could have done anything against Lone Druid. The mid lane was mostly a wash. And the Clock pick, I'm still a little bit puzzled. Now, obviously, we've seen games when Clock is on the roll. He is just a very dominant hero. But we haven't seen that in this particular game.
And you know, it was just hard for him to find an opening. And we saw one of the downsides to the hero. Like Night Stalker, your Void's got, what, a 6-7 second cooldown? It's quite low, I know that for sure. And every time that Void's up, if you have mana for Silence as well, you can go and find a kill, as long as it's Night. Whereas with Clock, you're slower to get around from gank to gank. You have to hit a good hook most of the time to find a kill. It's a hero that can be amazing, but if you mess things up, it's in a sense like a Beastmaster, but you don't really have the full utility where you're buffing your carry with Inner Beast, you're having the vision of a Hawk. So we saw some of the weaknesses of the Clock. Xiaoyi did great in lane. I think he's slightly ahead of G, which, you know, for a hero that has such lower base armor is pretty impressive, but it wasn't enough. And it is going to be the international squad jumping out to a 2-0 lead in this game number, well, we'll call it game number 2, even though technically it's the first one played.
Yep, and one more for the international squad to what come out of nowhere 1 month ago was not a team.
Exactly.
And 1 month later, they're taking tournament finals. Wow.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. This is game number 1, or game number 2, I should say. It's a 2-0 lead for the international squad. They are looking strong. They are looking well-rested and coordinated. And the Chinese are on the back foot. They need some more noodles. Apparently, the international took the greater portion, and it's giving them some superpowers. But they're playing amazingly well. I'm LD. He's Luminous. If you enjoy his casting, be sure to follow him, support him. Twitter.com, Facebook.com, and YouTube.com/luminousinverse. I'm LD. The same Facebook, Twitter, and youtube.com/ldDOTA. Of course, we're Beyond the Summit, David and David. So thank you for tuning in, guys, and stay tuned, because when we come back, it will be a game number 3, really, with LGD International leading the series 2-0. We'll be back in a jiffy.